Hey guys, this is Chris, and this is part two of my series on learning TypeScript. Right now, we're going to talk about the TypeScript compiler. I'm going to show you how to install and configure the TypeScript compiler, how to use the TypeScript compiler, all about the TypeScript compiler in this video. So once again, in the last video, I said you need to have Node installed for this specific video. There's a lot of ways to compile TypeScript, but we're going to use just the Node TypeScript compiler. So once again, if you've never used Node before, if you have, you can just skip ahead. If you've never used Node before, just go ahead, make sure it's installed on your machine. Just run npm-v. You should have or node-v -v, and you should get a number. You should get something here rather than it saying something like command not found node or command not found npm. And all we really need is just the node package manager or npm, because we're going to use that to install the TypeScript compiler. So just npm install TypeScript, and that will go and that will retrieve, and it's going to create a node modules directory. Inside the node modules directory, you'll have TypeScript. Really cool. And then we're going to be able to run the TypeScript compiler. So one way we can do that is we can do /node modules and then .bin and then the tsc, and then that's going to run the TypeScript compiler. But that's kind of a lot of work, so let's just install the TypeScript node module globally. Excuse me. And then we will have the tsc command available to us anywhere. So as you can see, there's a lot of different options. I'll go over them really fast. So, for instance, we're going to be able to pass a file to it, and it's going to output JavaScript for us. It's going to take a TypeScript file. It's going to output JavaScript for us. That's what the TypeScript compiler is for. So, for instance, if we were to make a TypeScript file, so let's touch, testing TypeScript. And then we're going to use the TypeScript extension, not the JavaScript extension, but the TypeScript extension, and we're going to make a TypeScript file. And then if we use that, I mean, it's an empty file, but if we pass that to the compiler, it's going to create a copy of that folder, of that file. It's going to of this file, and it's going to compile any TypeScript that's there to JavaScript. Like said, right now it's an empty TypeScript file, so it's just going to do that to JavaScript. So for instance, let's write just some JavaScript and see what happens. This is just regular JavaScript, no TypeScript here, and let's just see what happens. All right, and then it's literally just going to be the same. It's going to be the same file. So let's kick it up a notch and let's write some TypeScript. So let's create a class of my TS class, and then we can create a method on it of log, and let's be able to pass that a string. So let's say input, and then we'll make that a string, and then we'll just console log that out, the input. Cool, and then we just have to make a new class. And then we can do testing.log and then hello world. And so now, obviously, if we tried to run this in a browser or a node, it's going to throw an error because it's like, what the heck is this? And I don't even support classes yet because I'm still on ES5, and it's just going to not have a happy day. So let's run the TypeScript compiler and let's see what happens. So now we have some cool stuff. This looks a lot more like JavaScript and a lot less like TypeScript. And then we can even probably run this in Node. And there you go. It's just going to console log hello world. So let's say we don't like this testing TypeScript .js and ts. Who would do that? So let's specify an output file. So if we want to, we can do testing typescript.ts, and we can specify. Oh, excuse me. We need to pass the options first. So we can do -- out, and then we can specify the specific file we want it to go to. So let's say, I don't know, hello world.js, and then we pass it the file that we want to come from, and then now it's going to create a hello world.js with our JavaScript and from our TypeScript. Or what we can do is we can do tsc, and then we can specify an output directory. So let's say, how about we'll make a new directory of dist, for instance, and then we can do tsc -- out dir, and then we'll say dist, and then we will pass it our testing with typescript.ts, and now it's going to, inside of our dist directory, make our JavaScript. Now, what if we don't want to? Let's say we don't want to have to run this every time. So let's pass this, and then we'll add the -w command. And what that's going to do is it's going to watch the input files for any changes. So we can do that, and then we can go over here, and we can, for instance, say instead of hello world, we can have it say hello YouTube. And so now it's going to automatically notice that I've changed that testing typescript.ts, and it's going to update that testing typescript.js that's in my dist directory. So that's pretty much how that works. So let's say you don't want to pass all these friggin' options, you don't want it to have to wait all the time. So how do we configure our TypeScript compiler to just remember these options on a project level basis? So there's this cool thing that you can make. It's called tsconfig.json. And what it's going to be able to do is expecting an object, and then you have to use double quotes. And it's going to say, for instance, let's say compiler options. Oh, nope, that's not what we want. Compiler options. And then we can do, like, specify a target of, let's say, ES5. Or we can even do ES6 if we wanted to, but let's do ES5 for now. And then we can do no experimental decorators. How about no omit on error? Sure, let's do that as true. And then we can do experimental decorators. We can do that as true. Why not? And then we can specify individual files here that we want to compile directly into TypeScript. So let's say testing typescript.ts, and then we could add more files on a one by one basis. Or who would want to do that? So let's do files glob instead. So here we could do, how about basically everything inside of any directory that's going to be a TypeScript file. Well, then you're going to run into problems where it's going to want to compile TypeScript files in your node modules directory. So one thing that I like to do is for this, literally you could just do exclude, and then you can do node modules. And then it's going to look inside of every direct, and then if you wanted to, you could do, like if you had like a lib thing or whatever, you could specify any directories you don't want it to compile TypeScript files for. And then there's a ton of other options. You can go over here to tsconfig.json. I'll post this link in the description, and you can specify files. You can specify source mapping, output files. There's all kind of options. It goes into all the different options here. And that's a really cool. That's a really cool, that's a really cool thing, so that it'll preserve your options. It'll preserve your options every single time. So now, if we go back over here, we just say files. And then let's do, once again, testing typescript.ts, and then let's update this again. Hello, YouTube viewers, and then we'll save that, and then we'll just run tsc. It is going to go over here because I didn't specify an output directory inside of my tsconfig.json, which you can do by, I think, if you go over here and say output, maybe that's here, outer, we'll say dist. Okay, and then once again, let's delete this. Let's delete that. And then also that hello world that we made. And then let's run that compiler again. And then now it's going to update it there. And then we can once again do tsc-w. And I even think that there's a watch command in the TypeScript in the tsconfig that you can do. So once again, that's the TypeScript compiler that we're going to be using in this video series, and just stay tuned and keep updated, and I'll be posting the next video here in a minute on static typing. All right, thanks, bye.